Hello. Welcome to the lounge room. Please welcome your hosts Fianna Shepherd and John Hill. Take it away, loungers.
Welcome everyone to the inaugural edition of... Are you alright?
Huh?
You alright?
Yeah, I'm just muttering to myself.
Oh, okay. Welcome everyone to the inaugural edition of the Lounge Hour.
The lounge room, really.
The Lounge Room.
We can't promise this will be an hour. It might be shorter, it might be longer.
Oh, it'll be longer for sure.
It'll probably be longer.
But...
That's what she said.
See, I'm not going to cut that because it's the Lounge Hour. Lounge Room. But, anyway...
Watch your fucking language.
So we're not working. We're not technically on shift right now. So this is just the lounge room. So the premise of this show is that if there's a change in the lineup of traditional hosts, myself, Fifi, and our co-host Pete,
who is currently being replaced by a pizza box because he's not here.
Yeah, a pizza bot. Anyway,
get the fuck. Never mind. I'll host the fucking lounge room myself. Leave.
You can't talk about nerd shit on your own.
Yes, I can. You clearly have not ever met me.
All right, fine. Well, either way, this is an informal kind of like loose and
basically
with it.
It's going to be a little closer to the first episode of the Midnight Shift that we ever released,
which actually is still probably one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah,
because we were all talking about just random stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, I enjoy that. I enjoy both formats. Like, I enjoy talking about a lot of stuff that we're passionate about. I also enjoy picking a topic and kind of rolling with it because I get to make sure that we all have like similar, or I get to like find out what everybody's viewpoint is. Like when we did the one about video games, we learned a little bit about what we were into. Like, you were surprised by some of my choices.
Yeah, a surprising lack of not so much like the games that I think that you would be into, but just. You really did go for the games that I think... Well, to be fair, my perception of what your favorite game is and what the game that you would play on a desert island with is kind of different.
Yeah.
I expected... Because I've played lots of video games with you, and you have fun when you get into it and when you're with friends. However, I know that you primarily play single-player games.
Yep.
You primarily play games that have a campaign. If a campaign is shorter than 4 hours, you get kind of mad.
Oh, ridiculously.
So you really weren't like a fan of The Order then, were you?
The Order?
The Order, yeah, 1886?
Dude, it's a PS exclusive. I've never played it.
Oh, man, you would hate it. Because it has like a campaign that's like 3 hours.
Isn't it basically just DLC released on its own?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, but the thing is that The Order had lots of promise, and my problem is that we're not getting into a discussion about game length, but my thing was that I know that you're into single-player games and solitary experiences, so... Do I think that Oblivion is your favorite game of all time? I would bet on it, but I would bet on it being your pick for the game that you played on Desert Island.
Which is funny, because now trying to think back to that episode, I can't remember if it was.
It was your number one pick for the Desert Island game.
Was it? Yeah, it was.
And I thought Skyrim. You said Witcher 3. I thought you would say something else.
Yes.
And Fallout 3 you said, and I thought you'd say Fallout 4.
No, I actually have some issues with Fallout 4.
No, I know. A lot of people do in hindsight.
And the thing is my issue with Fallout 4 is the same issue everybody's going to have with Fallout 4. The dialogue sucks. Like the interaction aspect of Fallout 4 sucks dick. They turned it into more of a shooter, which is great. It's the gameplay's amazing. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of cool things you can do in combat in that game.
But do you think that
I used to play charisma-based characters?
Yeah,
and I'm really mad.
Yeah, you're fucked if you play all charisma.
No, the thing is, it's entirely possible to play all charisma though and get through that game, because if you crank your charisma stat from the start, you can buy all the perks that let you like pacify enemies, and then just make them fight amongst each other. So there's ways to do it. It pissed me off that there were so many situations that I couldn't just talk my way out of.
Yeah.
Like, no, I have to make them fight. Like, there has to be fighting going on. There's no way to... Did you hear about the guy who did a pacifist run of Fallout 4 and broke the game?
Yeah. And that's the thing is that you buy a game that prizes that Fallout is a series, and so is Elder Scrolls. They're series that are based on like a web of paths. It's not a linear. It's not a hallway. This isn't Final Fantasy 13. This is
Call of Duty.
This ain't Call of Duty. This is pick where you want to go. All points lead to the end.
It's choose your own adventure.
Sometimes all points, not all points lead to the same ending. And that's when you get like Persona type games. But Bethesda.
Sorry, that's the Attack on Titan theme.
Yeah,
I can't remember the Persona 4 theme now.
I've never played, and that's the thing is that as an outsider, I've never finished Oblivion. I really haven't even left the first dungeon.
Really?
Yeah, that's the most I've played.
You're honestly missing out.
Never played Skyrim. Ever. Not 1 second of Skyrim have I ever played. And well, hold on. We'll get to that. But I've never played a Fallout 3 or Fallout 4.
Really?
Yeah, never played any of those games. But I hear all the criticism.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
You're fucking fired.
That.
No.
You should feel sorry for me and give me your Xbox One.
I'm not giving you shit.
All right, fine.
Okay. Although one of these days I do want to bring it out here so that you and I can play. Cause
stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Especially when we start recording it and it's just me swearing repeatedly into the mic. That's a thing that you guys have not actually experienced, is how like into it I get with certain games. I almost started. Actually, I did. I started cussing out my Xbox before I came to see you because I was playing The Witcher. And so I mentioned previously that I got like Blood and Wine.
Yeah, yeah.
And have been trying to get to the level cap where I can where it doesn't tell me, hey, if you try and do these missions, it'll fucking kill you, because it color codes missions.
Oh wow.
Green is acceptable. No, sorry. If it's gray, it's acceptable. If it's green, it's it's below your level. You should have no issues with this. If it's red, this will be a bit of a challenge. It also tells you the level that you should probably be around before you attempt it.
Oh yeah.
If there is one step above red, there is a red skull icon that shows up that basically just means you're fucked if you try. I've done missions that are you fucked if you try. One of them, I was level 50 something. The mission was not that far off from mine. The level.
Yeah, yeah.
I found out why. You have to fist fight a rock troll. No weapons, no armor.
Wow.
It killed me. Hang on, it gets better. This thing killed me in one hit. I reloaded, and I found out you only get one try at it. Too.
Oh my god.
So if you fail the fight, you fail the mission.
Permanently.
It fails. You cannot go back and try again. It just fails. So I reloaded a save from before I even took the mission, and then just fucked off. Because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this until later in the game when I have... Because the one thing that they do let you use is you can still... Most fist fights don't let you use your magic and your signs and potions, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I basically said, fuck it. I'm going to wait until I've upgraded my signs enough to just tank all of its damage. So, which is why every single skill point I've been getting lately, I've just been putting into the shield spell. By the way, that thing is probably the most utility you'll ever get out of magic in that game.
So yeah, shield.
Don't die. The don't die button.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, video games though.
Video games.
Oh, E3 happened.
E3 happened. E3 was great.
E3 had. I've heard lots of mixed things about it, actually. E3 was underwhelming. E3 was meh. I think it depends on how long you've been following E3. If you've been following E3 for however long it's been around, then I think that by now you're probably at the point where you're like, yeah, E3 was okay, or E3 was underwhelming, or whatever. But if you're in that sweet spot where you're kind of new to following games journalism and game release cycles and all that, then you're the kind of person who would be like, yeah, this was pretty alright, or you'd have a more positive outlook. I'm willing to bet that if you've been following it for longer, you get more cynical.
Oh yeah, ridiculously so.
Yeah, and but for me personally, there's no reason to be cynical about Dishonored 2, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
I mean, you know how I feel with
Zelda,
basically in general. I'm just not a fan of the series. I don't hate it,
right? And I would never accuse you of hating it. Yeah, there's just not a whole lot to be cynical about for this past E3, because I think that even EA managed to put out shit that actually looked kind of interesting, like Titanfall 2 being not only multiplayer and single player, but also cross-platforming. Cross-platforming has become a massive thing that I didn't think I'd be able to see in my lifetime. Not as the kind of person who's followed gaming since the beginning, and I know every console ever released, and I know when it was released and all that. Just as a person who grew up during, like I mentioned in the original video games episode, sort of being enveloped in the culture of the video game wars and the gay station and all of that shit, you know? Being a person who knew that there was such brand loyalty to Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo, I never expected to see the day where we'd have cross-platforming. And to see it and sort of come to the forefront at E3 was quite inviting. Unfortunately, what also came to the forefront of E3 was fucking VR, which, again, I really don't see any potential in long-term. Don't really see it as a thing that would become the wave of the future.
Yeah. Well, you know my thoughts on VR. It's going to be a really cool fad, and then it's going to burn out pretty quick, and we're all going to be done with it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, I find myself hard to care with like innovation in the sense of hardware and stuff like that anymore, because like, oh, it's motion controls. You can move it with your hand.
Or it's a camera that tracks your motion. Or
fuck you, Kinect.
It's a 6-axis controller.
Okay, hang on. Actually, the tiltable controller thing was okay.
Yeah, but how many games used it?
Yeah. It was a really cool idea because, like, how many people while driving used to, like, actually turn the controller to, like...
Well, I think Wii tapped into all of that. The Wii is the one console that truly managed to get the motion control and the I'm not
going to say it got it right. I'm going to say it did it best.
I say they worked with what they had and they were able to make games that worked with it.
Yeah.
I will always give Nintendo credit. My only problem is that with the Wii U, they completely lost sight of all of that. They lost sight of, you know, creating a really enjoyable experience. Holding the Wii U paddle as a game controller is one of the most bizarre things I've ever had to do as a human being.
With the gamepad thing?
Yeah, holding a tablet sideways as a controller. What an absolutely insane idea. You know, and the dual screen system, it's just like...
that has given so many people headaches.
Yeah, or it's not even that. It's just the Star Fox game was completely ruined by the second screen experience.
Yeah.
Where you had to use the small screen to aim, and you had to use the big screen to see what you were shooting at, or what you wanted to shoot at.
Yeah.
Yeah, complete garbage. And I think that Nintendo with the NX should really hone in on what they really want. Do you want video games, or do you want tablets?
I want video games. I want video games with good story.
Which to me looks like the Legend of Zelda game.
I actually might... Okay, here's the thing. I am not going to play Breath of the Wild. That much is for certain.
But you might watch somebody play it?
But I might watch somebody play it. Like, if you guys were playing it...
Yeah.
Like, I know Rowan has Wii U, so, like, if I was at your place...
Yeah.
Or at Rowan's place with you guys, you were playing it, I would watch.
Yeah. You wouldn't be like...
I wouldn't be like, oh, this is fucking lame.
Can we play GTA 5 instead?
Well, I mean, maybe. That's mostly because I like going on cock-killing sprees.
That is fun.
It's a really good challenge to set yourself. Remember, kids, these are video games only.
It's one of the few reasons to complete like the campaign in the game is because afterwards you have access to all the weapons. Nobody can tell you shit. Tell the people what you're eating, Fifi.
I'm eating tortilla chips because I quit smoking about a week ago, and I'm having powerful cravings for like carbs and salt.
Speaking of quitting smoking, tell us where you've been for last week.
Hell. I'm kidding. I was in Mexico.
So hell. No, I'm just kidding.
It's about as fucking hot.
Yeah, but you were in Mexico, which is why we decided to release the wrestling episode last Friday rather than the Friday before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were going to cut a regular episode at the time of this recording. However, Pete decided to make other plans. So we made the best out of a sticky situation.
Yeah, we love him. We all have lives. We understand.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah, mostly. I think, and I like the idea of creating the lounge room because I think this is the point where we can get really meta. Because the midnight shift is primarily for, chewing the fat.
But
the lounge room is meant to be sort of just us talking about stuff going on with the Paradigm Network, stuff going on with our lives.
Yeah, it's just
fun.
It's figuring out who we are a little bit more as people.
Yeah, rather than what we like and what we think about this. And gosh darn it, I hate Ocarina of Time. I love Ocarina of Time.
I think you're both fucking idiots.
Wow.
It's not that polarizing of a game.
No, not really. It's probably about like 90-10 split. Anyway, we were talking about E3, and I thought that there was a lot of really good stuff out there.
Dishonored
2 looks awesome.
I'm excited. I mean, honestly, I don't remember much of what came out of E3. The God of War game.
God of War, yeah.
The new God of War.
Transferred into the Norse mythology.
What is confusing the shit out of me, is this the same Kratos, or is this some kind of reincarnation gig?
No, it's the same Kratos.
Same Kratos. Well,
I like it.
This guy fucking sucks at being a dad.
Here's my question, though.
What?
It's a game about Kratos and his son.
Yeah.
And him not being able to connect emotionally with his son. It's a game about him fleeing Greece after he's destroyed all of the Olympians.
Nope.
And he's trying to survive. He's trying to make his way in the world. He and his son are trying to live their lives free from hate. But Kratos stumbles into the Norse pantheon. And the Norse gods, who are like, this guy just killed all of the Greek gods. We need to kill him before he kills us. And then it's Kratos and his son running away for their lives. Think about it. The Last of Us, but with Kratos.
So basically, your selling point is that this is The Last of Us in Norse mythology.
With Kratos.
I kind of want to see what would happen if Kratos had like no magical powers and just arrived in the Last of Us universe against fucking Joel.
Oh my god.
Joel's just pointing a shotgun at him. He's got an axe.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I think about it. This could be the potential of a whole new recontextualization of Kratos, giving him an actual character.
Well, here's the thing.
Giving him redeemable qualities.
I have no
interest.
No, not no interest. I have no sympathy. I stopped caring about Kratos as a character by the second game. I haven't even played all the games. I've like watched them. I don't give a shit about Kratos.
Right.
Like, I am excited to play God of War specifically because, okay, here's the reason. The only reason I ever actually played any of the God of War games
is because it's mythology.
Well, it's because I got to murder the shit out of gods.
Right.
That weren't my own. Those heathen pretenders.
Well, that's that's not fair because they think that your gods would be all pretend too.
I know. No, I played it because I played it for mythology. I played it because like I'm a massive mythology buff,
which I am.
And I wanted to see.
As well. Yeah.
I wanted to see how much they got right.
That era, I was like 13, 14, and that was really the peak of my interest in the esoteric, the occult, cryptozoology, history, mythology, theology, all of that shit.
You still have some interest.
Well, I have a ton of interest, but that was the peak of it. That was when I sort of really reached the point where I would come home from school with like encyclopedias of supernatural phenomenon in my backpack, go on the computer and look up old mythology on the internet.
You're having a mythological midlife crisis.
I am.
You are.
I gotta go. No.
Yeah.
I'm not. I embrace the fact that I just now know all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I know about Theseus and Hercules.
Now, my question: one, is this going to be another trilogy?
Probably.
2, think they can reinvent it for anywhere else? If so, where? Where would you want them to go next?
Gaul.
Rude.
Well, okay. Here's my thing. I think that by the end, if this is a trilogy, if it's a trilogy or if it's just a single game, I think by the end of it, Kratos will be dead.
Yeah?
By the hands of his own son.
Really?
Yeah. His son will represent sort of the world after the age of mythology. I would say that his son represents the sort of transition from Europe and the Mediterranean and the East as realms of empire and mythology and culture.
Well,
and transition it more towards a more uniform idea. Maybe he'll represent Christianity, maybe he won't, but I think what he'll represent ultimately is just like the death of the old way. How, well, you as a person who traces your lineage to the Celts, you're aware of a historical context for the usurpation of pagan religion by Christianity.
Yeah.
I think that the God of War series, as it is now, as it will end, will be sort of a sort of way of retelling that story. That a culture, a society, or whatever, beliefs, they sort of exist, and there's a point in which all of it will fall out of favor. Like, now I think we're at sort of the beginning point of the downfall of religion in the West, in general. Not just Christianity, not just Christianity, but like most religion. Everyone's getting into secularism now.
Who was into secularism before it was cool?
Yeah, probably.
Well, but here's the thing. I interpret the God of War games very differently from you, I find. Because to me, I interpret them on a much shallower scale. The God of War games are fucking wish fulfillment. Like, here's the thing. A lot of people play those kind of games, hack and slash, like, crawl through this, like, horde of monsters.
Yeah.
Because...
Slay.
Exactly. Slay and fucking decapitate and whatever. Because you want to feel powerful. Right? And shit, video games are wish fulfillment. I get that. But,
yeah.
But God of War did it on a whole different scale.
Right? Where it was gratuitous?
Oh, ridiculously so.
Yeah.
But, like, think about this. Before God of War, some of the most powerful wish fulfillment games that I had ever encountered were stuff like Black and White.
Yeah.
From Lionhead Studios, where you literally play a god, and you have to decide whether you want to be benevolent or
Benevolent?
Benevolent or malign.
Yeah, right.
But you can do all this stuff in these games. You know, you can run around and shoot up Hell and Doom. You can run around and shoot up Space and Quake.
Yeah.
But they were coming out with all these games, and then God of War came out. And God of War was about a dude, a human, technically a demigod, but we'll get into that. Like, there's not a huge difference.
No.
He's just a better human.
Typical Greek hero has some divine lineage, has has a whole lot of human blood in him.
Like, honestly, I think that basically the whole divine lineage thing it's the same plot device you come across in every fucking game. If he was a space marine, Kratos would have the same explanation instead of divine lineage. The same shit would be explained instead of divine lineage as he has
a military family.
No, he has, like, he's been bioengineered. He's the perfect soldier, right?
Yeah,
it's the same thing, right? He's basically Master Chief.
Yeah, basically.
Kratos is Master Chief.
Yeah.
They're both Spartans.
Yeah, they are.
Hey-o. But, so that's the thing, is it's wish fulfillment on the sense that you get to play as, like, this pinnacle of humanity. You're not, some, like, warlock king or whatever, like the kind of games where you're, like, throwing around power like that. No. You're a dude with two swords who's pissed, and you're taking what you feel like is rightfully yours.
Yeah.
And you go against a bunch of people that are so much more powerful than you, and then take what's theirs, and then go after the rest. Think about the era that we were at, like the age that we were at when those games started coming out.
Yeah.
There were so many people who were in that rebellious against their parents phase.
Yeah.
That's why. That is what God of War is. It is looking at higher authority figures and going, fuck you. And there's an entire game franchise based on that. And it just got... And the thing is like, as that original kind of market...
As we grew up and sort of started to understand...
better plots.
And what it is to be, like, our parents.
Yeah.
Sort of becoming more like adults. we sort of fell out of favor with that kind of formula.
Sort of, but the thing is you also pay attention to the God of War games, and they basically go over the same formula like 3 times, but each time they approach it with a slightly more mature lens.
Yeah.
Right, like in the third one, you start to realize that the act of like this rebellion actually has consequences. Like, you kill Helios.
Yeah. And
tear his fucking head off to use as your flashlight. By the way, kind of funny. Like, just... I like the idea of that he's got this basically an artifact of unredeemable power.
Yeah. And
he's like, well, it's dark in here. Holds it up by the hair.
Yeah.
But you tear off Helios' head and kill him in, like, the first portion of God of War 3, and the sun goes out.
Yeah, and that's when you need a flashlight.
And then you start realizing... oh shit, what did I just do?
You killed the god of the sun.
You killed the sun.
Yeah.
Right? So in each game, they start to realize, like, you kind of... it's still wish fulfillment in a sense.
I don't really like how they pick and choose what happens when a god dies. Because when Atlas dies, shit should be fucked. Shit should get real fucked. Because Atlas holds up the earth.
Does Atlas die?
Yeah, you kill Atlas.
Do you?
Yeah. You also kill,
Kronos, didn't you?
You kill Kronos, the time. You kill Gaia, the mother god. The mother titan.
Earth.
Earth, yes. And you kill, Prometheus. You actually don't kill Prometheus. You give him the means for him to kill himself.
Oh, God.
Because, of course, he's in hell. He's being punished.
He's in Tartarus.
He's being punished in Tartarus for being... basically the only Titan that was ever good to human beings.
Yeah. Also, I feel I should point out, Gaia, not a Titan.
No, she
Gaia is literally
she's the Earth.
Gaia and Rhea.
Right.
Made the Titans. They're
the daughters of Kronos.
No, Kronos is their kid.
Right, you're right. Because
Gaia
is the first.
Well, basically Gaia and Rhea are the first, and then from everything else. Yeah. Which is why Gaia
Kronos is the father of the Titans.
Yes.
And the Olympians.
The one who ate them all.
Yes.
And Zeus fed him a rock.
Yeah. I always think, if I were to really contextualize what God of War is as a series, it's somebody who's just like us, who's a mythology nerd, who says, all of these Greek gods, right? All of these Greek gods and these Titans and these supernatural forces and these Greek heroes even.
Yeah.
They're all just a bunch of fucking assholes. So what happens if somebody just goes up against them?
So basically God of War 3 was... God of War as a series is basically wish fulfillment fan fiction.
Well, of course it's fan fiction.
It's fucking My Immortal.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Nah, man. The existing characters aren't cool enough for me, so I'm gonna beat them all.
Yeah. Someone invented a guy who is Spartan, because of course Spartans are historically known as like the best warriors.
And he's gonna have the coolest war paint.
Even though Kratos does not fight like a Spartan, where's his phalanx?
Yeah, that's the thing, is like Spartans were one of the best warriors because they worked as a fucking unit.
Yeah, they were like a cube of people. You know, so that's the thing, is that you have this guy who's like all these Greek gods and these Greek heroes, and he kills these Hercules too.
Yep. You beat Hercules to death with his own goddamn Kestis.
You do. And the thing is that someone invented a character to teach the Greek gods a lesson. I would not be surprised if the person who invented God of War is just a really hardcore Christian.
Do you imagine it's a guy who actually ended up with a mythology degree for some reason? And
oh
then got
my
really
god!
Pissed off
oh
that he
yeah,
couldn't
totally.
find an actual job.
You lied to me.
My mom said I could find something in any field.
As soon as I learn how to code, I'm gonna fucking kill everyone. As soon as I learn how to code, then they'll know. Then they'll know.
He just angrily goes to museums and stares at all of the pottery. Fuck you, you spear-wielding bitch.
Yeah. Speaking of mythology, I really wanted to get into... See, I love reading, and I love, I have tons of books, and my to-read list is, from here to fucking wherever your house is. I pick a place. It's probably that long.
Timbuktu.
Yeah, totally. And at the top of my list now is the Lord of the Rings books, the proper trilogy.
Yep.
Because I've read The Hobbit, and I have every book that Tolkien wrote, but I've not read any of them other than The Hobbit.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to get into, speaking of mythology, I really wanted to get into the mythology of Lord of the Rings.
Silmarillion, boy.
Yeah, because I love the idea that so much of what we see on screen, because I love the movies, so much of what we see on screen has a real tangible backstory, a canon backstory. You know, that's the kind of thing where you're like, holy shit, this is awesome. This is what I want out of like a story.
So right now, if we ever do a Midnight Shift podcast about Lord of the Rings, we have to Skype Stephen Colbert.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, he loves Lord of the Rings.
Hey Stephen Colbert, you want to come and just talk to us about Lord of the Rings? Fuck yes!
He would take over our show.
Oh god, yes. I would be totally okay with him taking over the show.
I love when he was part of the Daily Show and Viggo Mortensen was on and he broke character. We basically, it was like breaking character to talk to Viggo Mortensen about being Aragorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the fact that Stephen Colbert actually had a cameo in The Hobbit.
Yep.
In Lake Town.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, that guy's nerd power.
He's also a hardcore Christian, but like not like a hardcore in the sense of being like
bigot.
A bigot. He's just like super. He's like super Christian.
Yeah.
And cool, and then also super into Lord of the Rings. And I remember the time that somebody compared the Balrog to a devil, and he explained where demons come from and then where Balrogs come from by using the perfect terminology from both of them. Oh, and it's funny because it's the same explanation. He just swaps out the words from like Christian mythology with the words from like the Silmarillion. And I was like, you cheeky little fuck. I love you.
Yeah. What does that get? See, that's the problem is that the guy who invented God of War thought he'd be Stephen Colbert. And he ended up being the developer of God of War.
He wasn't even the developer, he was the writer.
The writer, yeah. But, yeah, I really wanted to get into the Lord of the Rings thing. And it made me think about it, like, Lord of the Rings is one of the very few series that has this much money and power behind it, and they're able to tell a long-form story. It made me think about not only how much it's Lord of the Rings as a franchise has done for fantasy, because it created the high fantasy series, style, essentially, but what the film franchise is doing for film. It's preserving that huge, epic, massive, heavy, dense, storytelling-based movie. Like the kind of movie that you would see, you know, in the past, like Lawrence of Arabia and Ben-Hur and films that took a...
What would just throwing out shit that involves sand? Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Well, I was just about to say the Ten Commandments, actually.
I prefer mine.
Wow, okay, so... But, I mean a movie with lore. I mean a movie with power.
Yeah.
And it made me think about the movies that aren't being made now that I would love to see made.
Yeah.
And I have here a list of all of the intellectual properties that I would love to see made into films. Right off the bat, I should say that I'm not going to disappoint anybody by saying that no H.P. Lovecraft is on here.
What?
I'm saying that H.P. Lovecraft is not on here for a few reasons. One, Cthulhu mythos, not that interesting.
For our listeners, I'm currently staring at John in the hopes that his fucking head will explode.
No, it's not. It's not the real reason. I'm not that crazy.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't know that much about it,
Fair.
and so I can't say honestly.
I need to lend you my copy of the Necronomicon so you can read some of the old stars.
Oh yeah. So things to be adapted into film. I'm gonna start with one that's actually already been made.
Right.
John Carter of Mars.
Oh yeah.
There was a John Carter film that was released in 2012. If you haven't seen it, that's probably likely because the marketing for it wasn't very good. And, you know, John Carter, if you're a person who knows nothing about Edgar Rice Burroughs or Pulp Fiction or anything like the genre Pulp Fiction, if I say to you, oh my God, they're making a movie about John Carter, your first reaction is going to be, who?
Is this a spin-off of Jason Bourne?
Is this a retelling of the life of a basketball player?
Wow.
You know, it's just like that. Like that would be your reaction. It's like, who the fuck's that? Is this one of those like mid 2000s feel good basketball movies? You know, but John.
Sorry.
But John Carter of Mars is so lore heavy and so rich with ideas and stories and concepts that I think that it could totally work as like a long form like retelling of the original story.
Yeah, no, I honestly, like, here's the thing, is I went and saw the John Carter movie with one of my exes.
Yeah.
Like, I think we were just friends at the time, actually.
Oh, yeah.
We went and saw it, and, it was okay. Like, I went into it expecting to be kind of underwhelmed, because it was a Disney movie and it looked fairly kiddish, but at the same time I was like, I don't know you well enough to take you to go see a hardcore movie, and I don't think there was anything else good in theaters.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know you well enough to take you home and make you realize that I know every single word in Sweeney Todd. Which, you know.
Which I probably would have bet anyway.
Well, I mean, just look at me. That's actually really not an accurate representation. I look like a fucking nerd. But...
yeah, so somebody who'd be into Sweeney Todd.
Probably. Well, you know, again, wish fulfillment.
Right.
But, yeah, I remember taking her to see it and then leaving with, like, this general feeling of meh.
Yeah, and that's the worst feeling you can have.
Yeah, I wasn't even, like, angry about it. I just felt like I was like, I could have... I don't even feel properly angry at this movie enough to justify having watched it.
Yeah. I think that this is the kind of movie that if you gave it a proper movie rating, put it in the hands of somebody who knew how to make big films, and, you know, that would be amazing. And I would love to see that adapted. So, John Carter of Mars. I also have here Paradise Lost by John Milton. The telling of the fall of man and the fall of Satan.
Yep.
I think it would be the kind of movie that I'd want to see done in a kind of art house style. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of really good moments and lots of really, like, epic moments that you'd want to see, like, on screen, but I would actually give this movie over to Terrence Malick. A director that I don't like. A director that creates films that look beautiful but have very little meaning. If I were to give this movie to anybody, I'd probably give it to him, but I'd have him tone it down a little bit. Tone down the artsiness. Really artful cinematography is okay, but I also want, you know, like, accurate representations of the source material.
Yeah.
Let's see. I also have here The Apology by Plato, which is the story of Socrates' trial.
Yes.
That would be... It's not really a long movie, but it's a movie that I think would be really cool, and if you were to do it, it could be the modern equivalent of 12 Angry Men. Because it is that kind of, you know, like, epic and really moving story that I think that people would really dig, basically. The Anabasis by Xenophon is also one I wanted to see adapted, because it's the story of
the 10,000 Greeks?
10,000 Greek mercenaries following the Peloponnesian War, because after the Peloponnesian War there were all these soldiers who were like, we have nothing to do, let's be mercenaries. So they became mercenaries, and this guy, Cyrus, who is the brother of the king of Persia, hires these 10,000 Greek soldiers to march into the middle of Persia and fight a battle, and they kill the king, but Cyrus dies.
Oh.
And there's 10,000 Spartan soldiers, 10,000 Greek soldiers, they're not Spartans, so 10,000 Greek soldiers stranded in the middle of Mesopotamia, in the middle of the Persian Empire, and they have to reach the sea. They are surrounded by the enemy. It is basically the original story of the warriors.
It's reverse Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, totally. But it's amazing.
Who would you have film it? Or direct it? Because I have a fucking idea in my head that I want to say.
Who would film the story of the
10,000
Greek soldiers.
Imagine for a second that you were focusing on a very small squadron, maybe, and telling their story.
Tarantino.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is who I would want to do it.
I will say that one of my big gripes about Inglourious Bastards, which is actually my least favorite Tarantino film, is that not enough bastards. Actually, there's not a whole lot of screen time dedicated to this amazing story about this group of soldiers who just fuck up the Nazis all over France.
Yeah.
I want to see their story. I mean, I really like the story about the French lady and killing Hitler and her black boyfriend and all that stuff. But I really liked the story of the bastards because they were cool, and they were awesome. But it's a turning it on its head. You know, we would expect to follow the soldiers and not follow this woman, but instead we follow the woman, not the soldiers. So it's Tarantino turning the genre on its head a little bit.
Right.
And I could see what he was going for.
Yeah, I can't fault him for it.
No. These are actually smaller properties, more modern stuff.
Yeah.
But things that I'd love to see in TV or movies anyway. Sandman. The Endless Chronicle.
Yeah, the Neil Gaiman comic.
Because they're making American Gods into a TV show.
Right.
And if they could make American Gods into a TV show, they definitely could make
Sandman. Sandman would have to be like I imagine, because the thing is Sandman has 12 comics.
Yeah.
So if you not tone down, there's a couple side plots that, as much as I do enjoy, are largely by and by unnecessary.
Like the Shakespeare one with Dream.
No, like not even like that's an entire comic though.
Yeah, that's true.
There's like subplots that show up that are like little snippets, basically like 2-page things. Cut out some of those, and then make Sandman into a 12-part miniseries.
Yeah, but HBO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a continuing TV series, but make it like a...
Yeah. Transmetropolitan.
Oh my god.
By Warren Ellis.
Transmetropolitan as a movie.
Would be great. Would be a fucking amazing movie.
But, like, they have to keep the tone. Who would you trust with that one, though? That's a really
Warren Ellis.
As the director?
Yeah. He did Red, and that was pretty good.
Oh, shit, yeah, he did too. Fuck. That was amazing.
Yeah. Red and Red 2 were pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
I'd give Warren Ellis that shit and just be like, oh, sorry, Transmetropolitan. Warren Ellis writes the screenplay. Okay. I'm gonna pull him out of Hollywood's ass, and I'm gonna give the directing duties to the guy who directed Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Do you know his name?
No.
Okay, I'm looking it up now.
He also directed Rock and Rolla, and he directed Whitnall and I. What's his name?
That is not what I'm looking for. That is all the fucking people. Hey, Danny John Jules. Barfly Jack.
Right.
I forgot about Jason Statham in this movie. I forgot about this movie, to be completely honest with you. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Guy Ritchie.
Fuck. Guy Ritchie. Fucking Guy Ritchie directs it. Warren Ellis writes it. Mm-hmm. Fucking do it. Guy Ritchie's been making Hollywood movies for the last...
Hertfordshire.
For the people at home.
Huh?
For the people at home. Where's he from?
He's from Hertfordshire.
Which makes him...
fucking English. And that's not to be trusted.
But what's so funny about Hertfordshire?
He's from Hatfield in Hertfordshire. Okay, Hertfordshire is like the county. He's from Hatfield, Hertfordshire, England. He is from like not nowhere, but he's from like the east of the United Kingdom. He's not even like... Hatfield is a town and civil parish in Hertfordshire, England, in the borough. Blah, blah.
So it's like a small town.
It has a population. It had a population of just under 30,000 people in 2001.
Wow.
So Guy Ritchie came from a fucking, like, not the asshole of the earth, but you can see it from there. Okay?
Nice.
Filmmaker, occupation, filmmaker, businessman, pub landlord.
Guy Ritchie? Nice. He's been making the Sherlock movies.
Holy shit,
lately.
he was married to Madonna.
Are you serious?
Spouses, Madonna from 2000 until 2008.
Holy shit.
Currently married to Jackie Ainsley as of 2015.
Huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been making Hollywood movies lately, and I really wanted to see him return to form.
Yeah, he did the Sherlock Holmes movies.
Yeah, not a fan.
That's the problem. Is like he's trying to do like what big
Hollywood. Yeah.
Oh shit, he did The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yes, he did.
You poor bastard.
Yeah, honestly, anyone who was going to be given that movie would have dropped it.
I mean, if I was going to be given that movie, what I would have done was turn it into a parody of itself.
Absolutely, that's all you can do. What are you gonna do?
It basically would have been another Austin Powers, though, if you gave me the fucking script.
Yeah, but without Canadians in it.
What's wrong with Canadians? We're Canadian.
Anyway, I would also want Fables because Robert Kirkman has done better shit than Walking Dead, and Fables is one of them. They made The Wolf Among Us, which is a Telltale adventure game, and that was awesome.
Oh, it was amazing.
And I think Fables would be a great miniseries or movie.
Here's the problem, though, with doing Fables.
Yeah.
It's Once Upon a Time in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The problem is that the concept is already out there, and so the moment somebody starts watching it and kind of clues into that, they're going to be like, oh, well, I've already seen Once Upon a Time. It's like, no! These are grittier characters.
Shit gets fucked up.
Shit gets fucked up fast. The Wolf Among Us is great.
Yeah. 100 Bullets is a comic book series that I really, really like. Have you heard of it?
The name sounds familiar.
So, to sum up 100 Bullets very, very simply, there's a man, and he approaches people who have been wronged in some way. Wronged by somebody in particular. It's different for every person, but what he does is he shows up to them. He's very mysterious. Not very much is known about him. But he shows up. He gives them documents about the person who wronged them and how they wronged them, 100 bullets, and a handgun.
Sorry, I just looked it up.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna read the Wikipedia summary,
Sure.
which is basically what you just said. Almost word for word.
There's 100 issues.
Many of the first issues involve mysterious Agent Graves approaching someone who has been the victim of a terrible wrong. Graves gives them the opportunity to take revenge by providing a handgun, 100 bullets, and documentation about the primary target responsible for their woes. This is the part that I like as I was reading through. He informs the candidate that the bullets are completely untraceable by any law enforcement investigation, and as soon as they are found at any crime scene, investigations will immediately cease.
So he gives them all the means of their revenge against people. And the reason why it's called 100 bullets is because those 100 bullets are untraceable. And they are meant to represent the revenge and sort of unlimited power. Take revenge without any consequences.
Yeah.
It's written by a guy who did Sage, I think. Which is also another very...
Brian Azzarello?
Brian, yeah. He's done Superman and a Batman, I think. He's done lots of stuff, but yeah.
He did the Before Watchmen series, too.
Yes,
Hellblazer.
Hellblazer.
Lex Luthor, Man of Steel.
Yep.
Oh, he did Loveless.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the Western.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah. 100 bullets, the idea of a guy walking around giving people the means of their revenge, and the greater plot is related to a secret government organization. So you got the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. crowd, you've got, people who really like Supernatural and like the sort of story of the week thing. You got a little bit of X-Files, the anonymous hitman who is providing people with, the means of their revenge. It's great telling. It's a great story. And I was going to put Preacher on here, but Preacher's already been made into a show. I would also put...
Although apparently they're kind of fucking it up.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it either. I will come forward right now and say that I got most of this list from Watch Mojo, but also stuff that I've read. So, in the video, I love YouTube comments sometimes. The thing that I kept reading in the comments for that video was this comic book series called Crossed.
Oh yeah! Now I'm pumped. Okay.
No, it could never be done.
Crossed is fucking horrible.
You'd have to put it on the Playboy Network, first of all, or El Rey Network, or like something crazy that you'd have to pay for.
Can I explain what Crossed is to the people who are listening?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Crossed...
Don't Google it.
Don't Google it.
Do not Google image search. Do not.
It's fucked up. It's horrible. Okay, so Crossed is what happens when you decide to tell Garth Ennis to do a zombie story.
That's putting it lightly, by the way.
That's putting it extremely lightly. Well, it's telling Garth Ennis to do an outbreak story. Basically, real quick summary, virus gets out and people start developing this weird fucking skin rash on their face that looks like a cross.
Yeah.
So this like inflamed cross shows up just underneath the eyes and down the bridge of the nose, right? Vertically bisecting.
Yeah.
Making them look a little bit like Crusaders, which was intentional because it's Garth Ennis.
Right.
The problem is that this virus...
Now, hold on. Does this virus turn you into a zombie?
No.
Does this virus turn you into like a rage zombie?
No.
What does this virus do?
It shuts off your impulse control. Basically, everyone who's infected with this thing, who becomes one of the Crossed,
all of their darkest thoughts.
Yeah, every single time that you have thought, hey, I could just reach out and push this single mother and her child in front of a car. By the way, for everybody out there who's like, oh, I've never thought of anything like that, you're a fucking liar. You just don't consciously know.
If you've ever been walking down the hallway and somebody in front of you is walking also, but they're walking very slowly, and you just think to yourself, what if I just push them out of the way gently? But you wouldn't even push them out of the way gently.
Yeah.
You just bear it. You just grin and bear it. Because you're putting up with all of this frustration in your head.
All of that builds. Now, the Crossed are basically what happens when everything you've put up with in your life, and the thing is like, Garth Ennis likes to talk about how the mundane world is all about people who just put up with shit because we're all complacent fucking meatbags.
Yeah. It's about conformity.
Exactly. And how what happens simultaneously, how breaking conformity can be good and bad. Crossed is about how it can be bad. Because when you get struck with the stuff, everything that's built up in your head like snaps at once.
Oh yeah.
And so these people basically start going out like raping, looting, and murdering across the entire country.
It is trigger warning the show.
It is. It really is. It's
people
fucking
people killing children.
There's cannibalism.
There's necrophilia. Incest, necrophilia, genocide, murder, rape. Oh my god, disfigurement. There's so much shit out there. And Crossed is like, it's like Cannibal Corpse album cover, the movie, like the comic. And Crossed is the one thing that always kept showing up in the comments for this video on 10 things that should be made into 10 comic books that should be made into movies. And people are like, you forgot Crossed, LOL. I'm like, oh my god. If Crossed were made, you have no idea how fast it'd get canceled. If it were made correctly and like faithful to the original thing, it would never air. It would never air on cable. It would be a thing that would go direct to video or it'd be on demand.
But you realize how much of a cult following it would end up with?
Absolutely. It'd be the new Faces of Death.
Yeah.
But you want to what would make it? It would be even worse if you were to be faithful to it.
What?
Doing it, but making it PG, making it safe for TV, because nothing would anger anybody more. And also, me as a person who's not really like into all like that gratuitous violence stuff, it would upset me too, because you're missing the point. Yeah. The guy is trying to make a point that if you resist, that if you give up to impulse,
if we do not have our impulse control, everything we have built falls apart. You are basically Crossed is about the fact that we are animals.
Yeah. We
are animals. We're very intelligent animals.
Yeah.
But we're animals. And basically, you know what? I'm using the wrong term. The Cross doesn't. It technically it breaks down impulse control, but I'm using air quotes here. It breaks the social contract.
Yeah.
The Crossed no longer give. Here's the weird part too: is that they like interact with each other. Like it basically becomes the Crossed versus everyone else. So like, they no longer have that basic social contract that says you shouldn't kill anyone because that means someone can kill you.
Yeah.
You shouldn't force yourself on anyone because that means someone can do it to you.
Yeah.
They no longer have that for anybody who doesn't have the infection. And in fact, they like it's shown that Cross members will attack each other or whatever, but they start forming like packs.
Yeah.
That is what happens when our animal instincts to some degree take over, but we retain our intelligence.
Yeah, we become small, tribal, pact-like hunter-gatherers.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter whether we want to do the worst, heinous thing to anybody possible, or if we just want to live our lives.
Yeah, there's a few of the
This is like the worst case scenario of a Satanist, of like a Levian Satanist society.
Yeah, it's what happens when somebody misses some of the rules.
Yeah, this is what happens when live as thou wilt is taken to the extreme.
Like the illogical extreme.
Oh, absolutely illogical. But the reason why it has to be illogical and why it has to be so extreme is because we're trying to prove a real point. Why we have regulation, government, social contract, different forms of the social contract, whether written or not. You know?
Ennis is also responsible for like Transmetro, right? No.
That's Warren Ellis.
Ellis, right.
Yeah.
Who what is some of his other series? Off the top of your head, I can't remember.
I'm not sure. Do you wanna Google?
Yeah, I'll have to Google them. Because he's responsible for stuff from both sides of the pond, right?
Yeah.
Warren Ellis is the one who's super anti. Like,
he's very much an anarchist.
Oh, incredibly.
So is Alan Moore too.
Yeah.
Alan Moore will not say that there's no. Alan Moore is the idealistic, anti-statesman, sort of anarchist.
But Alan Moore was involved in the writing of Crossed.
Well, yeah. Well, Alan Moore is the kind of person who believes that when you create a system where there's no government.
Oh fuck! I forgot Garth Ennis did The Boys.
Oh wow. Yeah, yes, he did. Alan Moore is the kind of person who believes that ultimately anarchy is good.
Yeah.
But this is him writing it from the perspective of like, anarchy isn't always so good, but he's still an optimist.
Okay, so Garth Ennis did Preacher, of course.
Which
is one of my favorite.
Crossed is trying to out-preacher.
Fuck. Crossed is just like, nah, fuck it, let's just ruin everything that everybody likes. Life. Okay, so Preacher, obviously. The Boys, Judge Dredd, Hellblazer, Punisher, Dan Dare, Just a Pilgrim, and Hitman. Garth Ennis does a really good job of just showing people
Dredd is the other side of the argument, where there's too much authority, too much power.
Well, no, because Judge Dredd...
He's a response to the chaos.
Yeah, but the thing is like, it's basically outright stated that the judges do not have... There are not enough of the judges to respond. They apparently only are able to respond to approximately 6% of the crimes that are reported within the city.
So wait. This guy is responsible for Preacher, The Boys, which I'm not familiar with.
The Boys is basically a group of guys who... Their whole thing is like... I'd have to look up the summary to be able to give you the best description, but I've read a couple of the articles, a couple of the issues. The Boys are basically like, they go and deal with problems with superheroes. So like,
right.
Okay, let me put it this way: in one of the
corrupt celebrity superheroes,
basically, not even like corrupt too. There's an issue where they basically go to deal with this guy who is an XP of like kind of like Batman, Superman.
Oh yeah.
Who is a closet pedophile and has a Robin sidekick, but like, here's the thing: is intentionally he's like, no, I won't do it. It's fucked up and horrible, and then it happens, and they have to go and beat the shit out of him.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Does he do it to his like Robin?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh man, why is this guy Edgelord the comics writer?
Oh my god.
He is Preacher. No, he's Reaper.
Die.
Yeah, totally.
Ennis. Oh yeah, I know. You know what's funny?
What?
You just mentioned a statement that he used to describe The Boys, but you used to describe Cross.
Out-Preacher.
Out-Preacher. Ennis has said that the series would out-Preacher, presumably referring to the extreme violence and sexuality that the series' hallmark.
Oh yeah. The thing is that it's like worst case scenario humanity shit.
Yeah. Here, okay.
It's like people are enslaved in Cross.
Here's the thing. The Boys are a CIA black operations team initially created by Colonel Greg Mallory to manage police and sometimes liquidate superhumans.
Yeah.
So, basically, yeah. So they're like the spooks of the superhero world.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is there's the girl, who
the girl one.
The girl is, I think if I remember correctly, like she's like perfectly quiet and whatever. Oh, yeah. But
have you heard of the comic book series Girls?
No.
Oh yeah, it's basically about like this town that's like attacked by a gang of naked, violent, egg-laying women. It's a very strange comic. It was on the list of Watch Mojo, but I don't know enough about it, so I didn't put it on my list.
Have you ever read Y, The Last Man?
Yeah, I've not seen it, but it was number 1 on the Watch Mojo list.
I have read some of the some of the issues. I keep saying articles. I don't know why.
So give me a summary.
From what I've read, because I didn't get far enough to like figure out the entire plot of like why stuff happens.
Yeah. Wow.
Basically, a virus shows up that kills everything with the Y chromosome. And so you end up in a world where there are no men.
It is a better world.
No, actually, it turns into a fucking hellhole. Mostly because like 50% of the population has just died.
Yes,
and they don't know how to cope.
And the problem with it, I believe the societal subtext is that because so many men are in positions of power, should all men die, women don't have. There's a power vacuum for women.
Yeah. And now the thing is like this was also published a while back before like we had like
Tumblr.
Fucking Tumblr. No, like I think it was made well before like Barack Obama showed up, kind of thing. So like, we didn't have powerful feminist leaders,
right?
Like Michelle Obama has been such a rallying point to the feminist movement.
Oh, totally.
Not because like people haven't been saying Michelle Obama should be president.
Yeah.
It's just that this is Michelle Obama. She is the wife of someone in a position of power. She does not let that define her. She goes out and does her own shit.
Totally.
But yeah, so basically, anyways, like 50% of the world's population dies.
Except for a guy.
Except for one guy and his pet monkey. This guy...
So how does this guy live?
I can't remember. I can't remember if he's just...
Is he born after the fact?
No.
Oh, wow.
He lives through it.
Oh, wow.
His mother is the vice president, if I remember correctly at the time.
Huh, interesting.
Or something like that. She's a government official, because I remember reading that in one of the later issues. But... yeah, so it's really funny because like
I got it. XXY.
Maybe
that's if that's a spoiler. I don't know.
I'd have to like actually buy all the volumes and read it properly, which I plan on eventually.
Yeah. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
That's what I love about comic books.
My favorite thing is that it's got a really interesting reversal of like sexism in comics.
Yeah.
Because like in a lot of comics, you have like guys being like sexually predatory towards women, and women are always like arm candy. Whereas in Y, his job, he's a fucking stage magician. He is a wimp. He is a fucking scrawny white boy with a capuchin monkey who has to be rescued by women time and time again. He gets rescued by a secret agent who's basically like, you're the last man alive, you have to come with me. And then spends the entire thing like basically being protected by women. And at one point, like, I remember a scene that made me laugh because it's basically applied at this point that a lot of women have just kind of turned to lesbianism. Like,
well, I mean,
which you can't turn, but like a lot of women have obviously just come out of the closet at this point because they don't have any other choice for
or
sex.
They've experimented with other women,
or whatever. But there's a scene where I can't remember the guy's name, but he's failed to shave in a little while.
Oh boy!
So like he's got a kind of a goatee thing going on, and he gets to a pit stop or wherever he's traveling, and they run into other women.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Oh God, I have to play it cool," and forgets like, "Oh shit, I have a beard growing right now."
Yeah.
And this other girl.
So not everybody knows that he's the last man.
Well, no, they assume that all men are dead. So some woman starts asking him what she's made it out of, for the sake of her girlfriend, because apparently there are still some women that like beards tickling them down there.
All living mammals with a Y chromosome, including embryos and sperm, simultaneously die.
Yep.
Yorick Brown, this is his name.
The Y thing is also played. Yorick, yes, I remember that.
Wow. Brian K. Vaughan, published by Vertigo. Here's the thing I love about comic books. is that comic books often can have some of the most interesting and dynamic and thought-provoking plots. Even mix-ups of old things. Take, for example, the idea of Superman Red Sun. It's Superman.
But communist.
Yeah, but he lands in Russia instead. And
Yeah.
I think that comic books are right now sort of, and comics and manga are really the forefront of literature. They're the places where experiments can be made. Because if you think about it, there's a book that I read recently called The Last Policeman, and it's a book about this guy. He's a detective, and essentially the beginning of the novel starts with a countdown of 6 months and a certain amount of days. This guy is a police officer who's investigating the apparent suicide of this person.
Okay.
And the reason why the 6 months counter thing is going on is because Earth is about to be hit by an asteroid. And everyone's about to be killed.
Yeah.
And he's investigating this suicide because he thinks it's a murder. And literally everyone he runs into is like,
Dude, stop.
Dude, why do you care? We're all going to die soon anyway. But for this guy, he knows that anybody can say that anytime. Dude, why are you working in an office? You could die tomorrow. Dude, why are you being a teacher? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why are you producing radio? Why are you a documentary filmmaker? Why are you an activist? We're all going to die anyway. You know? And it's like, why we do anything at all? The Last Policeman is not a comic book, but it would make a damn fine comic book.
It would make a really funny comic book if they could shorten it.
What?
Strange Love.
Yeah.
How I Learned to Love the Atomic Bomb.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of things that are being made into other things, I have a few things left on my list. American Vampire, which is sort of like a colonial, Old West style telling of the vampire mythos.
Okay.
It's written by, he's very popular with DC right now. He's been writing most of the New 52 stuff.
Okay.
I would also say Sex Criminals.
Are they the people who can stop time when they fuck?
Yeah.
I want that superpower.
Anyway.
Well, it implies that if I know about said superpower, it implies that I am at least getting laid on.
It's about two people who, when they have sex, they
have to have sex with each other.
Yes.
Oh.
And then they rob banks.
Yeah, but that still sounds pretty cool.
Right.
Like, and it implies monogamy, which means, you know, I would have a partner, which I have no problem with.
Right. But, I mean, you know, yeah.
It would really suck if every time you had sex, time stopped.
I think they have to be in a certain mindset, but I can't remember. It's been a while since I read the first compiling of it.
Yeah.
My second last thing is the Johann Cabal series.
Yes.
And this is the closest thing to Cthulhu I have on this list. And the reason why I've included it in not Cthulhu, not because I don't know Cthulhu very much, but because Johann Cabal is, to me, we touched on this in our first episode when we talked about Jonathan L. Howard and Douglas Adams.
Yeah.
The Johann Cabal is one of the funniest series I have ever read. One of the funniest books I've ever read.
I would agree. Yeah.
You have this cynical German motherfucker who named Johann, whose sole job is to be a necromancer of some infamy.
His sole job is to be basically like the voice of logic.
Yeah, he believes in science and he believes in magic.
But he believes in magic as a science. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
He shows up and is like, no, it's I can't remember who wrote the law, but the one that's the statement that is any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah.
He's basically saying, hey, no, if you pay attention, it's not actually magic. It's just a technology of a different. It's harnessing energy of a different sort.
Yeah, totally, and it's amazing. It's a new take on mythology. It's set in the 19th century, early 20th.
Approximately.
There's air flight, It's kind of like a steampunk past.
It's closer to the 19th because it's a little like they have basically like fucking gyrocopters and stuff. So
we'll say late 19th, early 20th.
Yeah, but it's also not set in our world.
That's true. But it has the noir style. It has a steampunk style. It has magic, science.
If it was made into movies, I would not be surprised at all if they were black and white.
Oh yeah, no. But that's the thing is that I would love if they made this into a series.
Oh god, yes. And
I came up with this idea that there's not a whole lot of band biographies. There are some out there that are really good. Anton Corbijn directed a movie about Joy Division, which is called Control. That's a very good movie. There's a movie about the Germs called What We Do Is Secret. And yeah, there's lots of like really good movies about bands.
Yeah.
And I thought that there ought to be a movie about Black Flag. A punk band that fought the cops regularly, that had shows shut down by the cops, traveled around the world, had numerous lineup changes, grew out their hair long, and started playing different kinds of music to frustrate their own audience. And a band that I think probably is more responsible for are responsible for inspiring more bands than any other punk group outside of the Ramones and the Sex Pistols.
That's fair.
And
can I make an honest confession to you?
Sure.
I don't like Black Flag.
I know, but I think the story of Black Flag would be more interesting than just the music itself.
That's just a thing between you and me.
Yeah, right.
Like, I told Pete this, and he was basically like, you just didn't listen to the right album. I'm like, no, I just generally do not like their music. Like, I like Henry Rollins as a person.
Yeah.
He's really cool.
But a lot of Black Flag's story comes in from the fact that it's just a bunch of kids doing a bunch of kids shit.
And you imagine? Hey, God. Yeah. Sorry, I'm yawning a lot because my life. I've been up since 5 in the morning, and it's like 5 in the afternoon at this point.
Wow.
So, I had an early shift.
Yeah.
So, you know that movie, The Green Room, that just came out?
Yeah.
Can you imagine what would happen if you replaced all of the kids that were trapped in that scenario with the members of Black Flag?
This actually probably happened.
Like just.
No, I'll bet you that like
they had to run from white supremacists.
Oh yeah, I know that for sure. There was a moment where there was the bassist Chuck Dukowski who was walking down the street, and they're in L.A. and this is mid '80s, so shit's fucked. Shit's still fucked basically. But anyway, they're living in L.A. and they live in a pretty shitty neighborhood. So Chuck Dukowski is walking from the 7-Eleven to the band's rehearsal spot. He ends up he crosses the street, he looks, he sees this Cadillac that is full of like 6 or 7 white supremacists. And he recognizes them because at the very same rehearsal spot where Black Flag have been recording their new songs and practicing their new songs, that property is owned by a gang of Samoans, like a Samoan gang. And the white supremacists have told Black Flag that if they keep having those damn expletive here, keep coming to their spot and making friends with them, that they're going to get beat up. Chuck Dukowski starts running. The car chases him. He runs up. He crosses the street, goes up the curb. The car jumps the curb, and he jumps onto the porch of a stranger, and the white supremacists back up their car. The car is on the lawn. They back up their car and they rev the engine, and he has to run around the backyard, hop a fence, and get away.
Jesus Christ!
And that was one time. That was one time Black Flag were harassed by white supremacists. Absolutely hysterical.
Right.
However, has Henry Rollins been harassed by Patrick Stewart? That I cannot say.
What?
No, it's a joke because Patrick Stewart is in.
I forgot that he is.
He's in Green Room.
I forgot.
R.I.P. Anton.
Yeah, Anton Yelchin, which is just
shit.
You know the worst part is this is gonna sound so fucking like stereotypically white girl. I'm sorry, but I saw a whole bunch of posts on Tumblr of people like doing like tribute art all of a sudden and being like, "Oh man, it's such a shame about what happened to Anton. We will miss you forever." All this other stuff, and I was like, "What the fuck happened? He's a fucking baby."
Yeah,
like this is literally like I was like, no, this is a guy from like basically my generation.
Yeah,
fuck this.
Totally.
So I go and look it up, and he's like, it's like, yeah, he's 27 and dead, and I was like,
freak accident.
So, yeah, so this is that sucks.
And you know what? He's been in more movies. I've seen him in more movies than I remember. He was in Charlie Bartlett, which is the first movie I probably saw him in. Yeah, he was the main character in Charlie Bartlett. That guy who gives advice and yeah.
The one with the kid stealing drugs in his fucking high school bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in that.
I forgot about that.
And he was the most charming part in the new Star Trek film.
He was adorable.
Yeah. And he was in Green Room. He's the lead in Green Room.
No shit.
Yeah.
So he just died after filming that.
Yeah, he just died. That's why I said R.I.P. And he was in a second one. Yeah, he was in Into Darkness, Star Trek, and he was in something else too. Can't remember. But yeah, 27, way too fucking young to die. And it's such a shame too, because it's like I haven't felt this bad about an actor dying for their under like shitty circumstances since probably Philip Seymour Hoffman.
What happened?
Oh, he died. I think it was an overdose.
When did he pass?
A couple of years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to think about like how talented they are and how much they had to offer, versus like how long they were allowed to live, or how long they just managed to live.
I think these last few years have just been the world kind of taking good people from us.
This year specifically, the last 7 months have been rough. Lemmy, David Bowie, Prince, Alan Rickman, Terry Pratchett died last year.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Speaking of, actually,
whole bunch of people.
I finally got around to reading Good Omens.
Yeah? How was that?
Fucking amazing.
Do you want to tell them about what Good Omens is?
Good Omens is a book that was written by both Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. And we're both two of my very favorite authors.
Neil Gaiman's great.
Neil Gaiman's great. Neverwhere is okay.
Pick up any of Neil Gaiman's work.
Yeah, honestly, it's all just enjoyable.
All of it will...
American Gods.
All of it will wake you up.
Coraline.
Yeah, Coraline, yeah.
Coraline's fucking dark, man. Anyways, so it's got kind of Neil Gaiman's whole weird mystic aesthetic going on.
Yeah.
But it's got Terry Pratchett's humor. And that was my main draw. Because I love Pratchett's humor. It's very non-secretarial.
Totally.
So...
That's my problem with Terry Pratchett. I don't know that much about Terry Pratchett. And Discworld is like 800 books long.
Here's the thing. You can jump in at any time.
Yeah.
You really can. Like, it doesn't start becoming a compelled narrative until after the first, 20.
Yeah.
Like, you can read anywhere in there if you want to start picking. Now, the thing is the thing is over the first couple books, where he starts individually bringing in the different lines of stories that would show up. Because there's the witches, there's the unseen university wizards, who, by the way, are completely different things. Wizards actually use magic. Witches use their brains.
Just like real life.
Yeah, basically. And then there's the guards. And then there's Rincewind. Or Rincewind, I think. But Rincewind is sometimes almost a separate line from the wizards. But it all ties back. And then there's death.
Yeah. And
there's the books about death. And then there's a couple books here and there that don't really concern death or concern him in a side.
But Good Omens.
Good Omens, sorry. Yeah. So basically, Good Omens is basically about what happens when... You know that, plot of, kids getting mixed up at birth?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody does that with the Antichrist. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So basically, on the night that the Antichrist is to be born... To an American ambassador in the UK, nonetheless. You can tell Pratchett had a bit of a fucking hand in this. Yeah. damn Yanks coming over here, giving birth to their fucking antichrists.
Oh, wow.
Taking our good jobs. No, kidding. He wasn't that nationalist. But so yeah, the UK the ambassador in the UK from America, and his wife goes into labor, and so basically what happens is like, it's implied that some dark magic was used to induce the labor early, while they were opening the nearby military base, so that they would be taken to a very specific hospital nearby, whose nuns are all Satanists in disguise.
Wow.
So that they can switch the baby with another baby that looks pretty much identical, white and blonde. And like take it to a family where they know it's going to be raised, where they can like basically kind of keep an eye on things and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Except that what they don't know is there's another baby that was apparently there was another baby given birth on the same night that is just like, yeah. So, or it's implied that there might have been a third child that they all like swapped around, and so basically there's a mix-up, and the Antichrist ends up going home with like the perfectly normal family, and this other kid who's named like fucking Warlock gets sent home with the ambassador.
Oh God.
Yeah. So, but there's two. The plot of it concerns an angel and a demon, basically. Crowley, the demon, and Aziraphale, the angel, have this kind of unspoken... They're basically friends. Because they have this unspoken agreement, and it's actually capitalized, that as long as they muck with each other's plans a little bit, so that there's like net good and net evil, they can both go back to hell and heaven and get a pat on the back, and nobody can really blame them because it's a war going on.
The balance.
Exactly.
From Hellblazer.
Basically. So they maintain a balance in and amongst themselves, and they're actually friends. Like, they regularly have drinks together and stuff like that, whatever. My favorite thing is some of the descriptions of, like, how they've managed to bring evil into the local world. Crowley had a highway built in the symbol of a dark sigil to an ancient god, so that all of the frustration that people get from being trapped in traffic is funneled directly to hell. It basically mentions that it has been replaced. He has replaced the dark chanting of ancient evil priests with the honking of horns and screaming of obscenities. But yeah, so like, anyway, so they basically get this idea in their head. They're like, shit, we don't know how this kid's gonna grow up, and we need to make sure that he's like able to make an informed choice on the end of the world, because we also, neither of us want the world to end. We're rather attached to it.
Right.
So they basically go to the kid that's supposed to be the Antichrist and start like mentoring him. So throughout his entire life, he always has one mentor who's like, do unto others, and here are the virtues. And then he also has another mentor who's like, hey, you see that blender? You should put a fucking frog in it. Like, Crowley's always like, dude, who cares? It's your life, live it how you want.
Right.
But like, to the point of like, it's not libertarianism anymore. It's like, you're just kind of being a dick.
Yeah.
And then Aziraphale is always like super upright and like, you have to be good to everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
But with the idea that like two extremes will balance out in this kid.
I like the idea that good and evil are on the same side, kind of.
Well, the thing is they actually make
that's
Gaiman.
That's Gaiman. I know it's Gaiman because of Lucifer.
Yes, but here's the thing: is they actually make a comment once where they go, "Good and evil are just the names that like people gave us, right? We're just the two sides. We've known about the war for ages." So, and then they find out about the fact that because basically there's on the like kid's like 12th birthday or whatever, a hellhound is supposed to come to him, and so they're there at the kid's birthday party. Nothing shows.
Oh my God.
And then they like get a phone call from Haster, and they're like, there's no hellhound here. Or he's like, is the hellhound there? And he's like, no, that's funny, it should be there by now. And then you like Crowley, well on the phone with him, has this fucking moment of, we've got the wrong kid, and doesn't say anything, just goes, oh, yeah, I see it now, everything's fine, click, we fucked up. And so, it's then, like, a third of the book it's basically from that birthday over 3 days towards when the end of the world is supposed to happen. One of the days is entirely just them frantically searching to find this kid, Adam Young, who is in was it Lower Hadding, I think it is, or whatever.
Yeah.
And hang on, I'm gonna take a drink.
Yeah.
And so they find him by realizing that basically this town or this township has been like picture perfect for years, and like completely untouched by the like the 20th century.
Yeah.
And it's because the kid's been like psychically projecting a radius of this is my territory. Like it's always had perfect weather. It's always been.
Oh my god! So it's like suburbia, basically.
It's like suburbia via Kerry.
Nice.
It's like the Stepford. It's the Stepford Wives meets X-Files.
Nice.
Right. So
I gotta read this.
It's fucking amazing, and just the humor in it is great. And that's the thing is like Terry Pratchett's humor can be a bit much if you don't get it, but it's tempered a little bit by Gaiman. So, anyways.
That would make a great movie, actually.
Oh, it's gonna be it would be fucking hilarious. But anyway, so he basically like goes from there until like trying to find Adam and prevent this whole confrontation and whatever. And just, I know this is gonna make me sound like Tumblr trash, but I kind of ship Crowley and Aziraphale.
Oh. Yeah.
In that like, it's that sort of like goody two shoes and complete fucking trash, but they get along so well.
Right.
There's also a really funny thing that every tape that gets played in Crowley's car eventually becomes Queen. Like, the longer it stays in his car, it eventually becomes Queen. And then, if he's listening to it and Hell wants to talk to him, they use Freddie Mercury's voice.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. There's also a subplot later in the book by the second halfway through through the thing, like they're talked about, are the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and how they've been living on Earth, waiting for the apocalypse to happen.
Yeah.
Death is basically everywhere, so like death isn't a problem. They can find him eventually, but war has been going around in like Africa, selling guns. So she's just been going around conveniently there whenever. Yeah, war is a woman. Pestilence retired after that whole penicillin thing has been replaced with pollution.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Who they find? Okay, basically.
That's interesting. That's another gaming thing.
Yeah.
Concepts, like
anthropomorphized concepts.
He does it with the endless.
Yeah.
The endless. So there's one of the endless who becomes dementia.
She was originally Delight.
Delight becomes dementia.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of cool that one phase of a thing can be changed into another thing.
Yeah.
And we don't have pestilence anymore. Not really on like a global scale where we're...
Yeah, we don't have like locusts and...
We have antibodies.
Yeah.
You know, and...
I mean, we still
but we do have pollution.
Yeah.
Which is total pestilence.
My favorite thing, though, is how famine is represented. Guess what he does?
Finance.
You're not far off.
Government.
Nope. He's a business owner. You know what he does? He manufactures food that looks and tastes and feels like the exact same thing, except it's all completely fake and does not give your body any nutrients so that people will waste away while they eat.
Wow.
He markets it as a dietary
program. Oh my god.
There is a scene when he is first introduced of this...
Diet Coke?
No. Of a model who is clearly wasting away and going to die of malnutrition, basically asking him to sign her copy of his book, being like, "Oh, you've changed my life," and he signs it and goes, like in his inner monologue, he's like, "Yeah, she has a month left to live." Then there's a scene where he goes to one of the many food chains that he has, which is basically like a burger place. It's basically a McDonald's knockoff. And talks about how all of the food is like completely synthetic and won't give you any nutrients at all. Like not even like the amount you get out of regular fast food where it's actually meat. Sure, you're not getting much out of it, but whatever. Yeah, it's all fake. And then he like orders it and takes in the ambiance of just people taking in this shit, and then dumps the entire meal in a fucking just like in a garbage thing and then leaves. The funniest part about that scene, though, is that he, in the back of his mind, he's like, "Yeah, I need to have a talk with the manager of this place because one of the guys who's flipping burgers has been singing, and it's totally ruining the fact that we are constantly playing our own jingles over their fucking PA system."
Wow. I love that. I love the celestial and the personified living among us.
I like.
Gaiman has that in Hellblazer. It exists because angels and devils and so on and so forth. But in Lucifer, you know, like Lucifer hangs out with human beings, and tries to do bad and fails miserably.
The
idea that Lucifer, which for thousands of years is like, it's not for thousands of years because it's kind of like a modern invention a little bit, but like the devil as Constantine saw it, everyone's like, oh, he's so evil. It's like God versus the devil. God will kill the devil one day. It's like, no, man, he works for him. The devil works for God. Why do you think God would make the devil the Lord of the world?
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Think about this. Think about heaven as a business, right? Think about heaven as a business for a second. Gabriel.
Supervisor.
Gabriel's in management. They're all managers of like different sections, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Gabriel is probably the Metatron is in HR.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, totally.
Michael, sales, because he's aggressive as shit.
Yeah.
Gabriel, I'm not entirely sure, but you know where Lucifer?
Gabriel's the word of God.
No, Metatron is the voice of God.
Metatron is the voice of God. Gabriel is the left arm.
Yeah, Gabriel is like. Oh no, sorry. Raphael's the healer.
Raphael's the healer.
But I'm not sure. Anyways, sorry. We'll break that down later.
Yeah.
Do you know where Lucifer is? You're gonna fucking laugh.
Janitor.
Nope. Internal affairs.
Nice.
Lucifer's whole job is to do just enough to keep everyone else in line.
Yep. And
he's instead of threatening
humans are clients.
Yep, humans are the clients.
Yeah. And God is just CEO.
No, well, yeah, maybe. No, sorry, Metatron's the CEO. God's the owner of the company.
Yeah, God's like the maximum shareholder.
No, not even the shareholder. He's like the founder.
Oh yeah, he's founder.
Founder of the company. Because the CEO does not necessarily have to be the founder of the company.
Right. Of course.
Metatron's the CEO, and then you'd have like Raphael as I don't fucking know what he'd be. Actually, Raphael would probably be more closer to HR.
Yeah, it takes.
No, he's client services.
Client services. HR is Gabriel. Michael is sales. Everyone else is like Seraphim are like, I don't know. Outreach.
Fucking cherubim are the call center.
Nephilim are janitors.
Wow, rude.
I mean,
can we write? This would be a really cool idea for a comic.
Just like
the bureaucracy of heaven.
Oh yeah.
Like the idea that there is an actual corporation that is heaven in disguise on Earth, running a business, running the business of divinity.
Does Internal Affairs have their own employees?
Yeah. But here's the thing.
So yeah,
Internal Affairs is that dark corner of the office that nobody ever wants to have to deal with, because if you are dealing with Internal Affairs, you have fucked up. And there is going to be a dark fucking mark on your papers for at least a couple months.
Yeah. Like, if Michael, grabs Gabriel's ass, then that's going to go to...
That's going to be... No. That's going to go to HR first.
That's going to HR. But if Michael is,
if you are
hemorrhaging clients...
If you're hemorrhaging clients, if you are skimming money, if you have been found to be using unethical methods of acquiring clients...
Then you go see Satan.
Internal Affairs... Yeah. HR deals with shit that can come back and bite the company in the ass from, their employees.
From their employees.
Internal Affairs is if you have done something that if someone from outside the company starts investigating can get the company in deep fucking shit.
Yeah.
Internal Affairs is the internal security that basically drags you into the fucking corner, puts a sack over your head and says don't fucking do it or we waterboard you. Yeah. Metaphorically. Yeah. Internal Affairs is the threat to the actual employees. Yeah. HR are the peacekeepers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Satan,
HR is Canada.
Yeah.
Internal Affairs is fucking Spec Ops.
Yeah. And Lucifer is the quintessential keep everyone in line, because he is the one who orchestrates that which everybody the clients deal with. Basically.
Exactly. He's also keeping an eye on supply and demand.
Right.
That's the thing is Lucifer would actually end up having two jobs though, because he'd be like a COO and head of internal affairs.
Yeah.
Oh, I really want to write that as a comic now.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Seraphim Corporation.
No, what would it be called? Would it be called Heaven Inc.?
No, Paradiso.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to Paradiso. How can we serve you today?
Yeah. Who are senior partners? The Olympians.
No, actually, it'd be really funny though if there's a competition. Okay, you remember GTA 5?
Yeah.
How the CIA building and the FBI. I'm not using that. Like the
Yeah.
But like the two buildings are in like the same plaza, like literally right across from them.
Yeah.
Okay, imagine a crosswalk, like a massive Toronto crosswalk. There are 4 buildings, and there's like Heaven, Olympus, the fucking Aesir from Norse mythology,
and
pagan
like gods,
and
pagan gods,
and like and then like not.
Oh my god! No! The coalition of various of smaller religions.
Yeah.
So of the non-Abrahamic religions.
There's So there's like basically the Tower of Heaven, like Abrahamic God in them, and then there's like. You could have like Greek and Norse, which are 2 very different things, and then you could have basically like the coalition of small gods, who are basically like the credit union of the religious world.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Gaiman would be proud. Yeah. He would like it.
I think we should maybe put something together.
Totally.
Let us know in the comments below if you'd be interested in reading something like that.
Let us know also what you would like about what series, like books or comic books or video games, you'd like to see done in a movie, and who would you have direct your favorite series as a movie or a TV show? I think that there's so much out there there's so much IP out there. I think the problem is that so many people in Hollywood think that sources like. You can only make money out of like mainstream comic books.
Yeah.
You can only make money out of like mainstream video games.
But the problem is that like all the mainstream shit follows the same formula.
Yeah.
Which sucks because it means we're getting the same shit over time when they try to make it into a movie.
And you know what? I will go see like the latest Marvel movie, but there will come a point where even my patience will run out, and I have infinite amount of patience for Marvel films.
Yeah.
But I think that eventually what we're going to see is we're going to be seeing the phasing out of the Led Zeppelins, the Black Sabbaths, and the Deep Purples of comic book movies, and we're going to see a little bit of Nirvana, a little bit of Pearl Jam, a little bit of Mudhoney, the lesser stuff. You think
Where's my alien ant form?
Think about
I'm kidding. That's crossed.
How dare you? But I mean,
I listen to them, dude.
We're gonna be seeing the arrival of smaller IP, because I think smaller IP can work on a big scale. Because think about how successful Guardians of the Galaxy was.
Yeah.
That was a small IP but big company. Now take a small IP like 100 Bullets or Crossed, and
don't make Crossed.
Maybe not make Crossed.
Nobody make Crossed, please.
But I think that's the problem, is that we've been putting too much faith in the cable companies to make the kind of to make the Constantine, to make the Preacher and Lucifer and all that. I think we need to really go balls out. Just do it. Just pick up 100 Bullets and have Netflix just do a series. None of this made for TV nonsense. I think cable is affirmatively dead. What we need to start doing is making adaptations that are for fans, not for cable.
Netflix is probably the best way to do this kind of stuff
because it transcends ratings.
Yeah, and it helps. The idea is that you don't need a huge company backing you to create a Netflix series, because a lot of the time they're basically kind of made by small, not medium-sized, really. Groups that are putting together stuff that ends up being a little bit more real feeling.
Yeah, and
get more
fresh.
Attached. Exactly.
Think about how fresh the Daredevil series and the Jessica Jones series and the Luke Cage series and eventually the Punisher series will feel.
And Iron Fist.
Yeah, and Iron Fist.
Iron Fist. I wonder how they're going to adapt that.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is that we have faith in it because there's none of this rating shit that we have to deal with.
Oh.
Ratings, I think, killed a lot of the great shows of the early and mid 2000s, like Lost and like Supernatural.
Lost got killed by itself. I'm sorry.
But I mean, they tried to one up themselves and say like, oh, stay tuned because it's gonna be, next season we're gonna come in strong,
because their ratings kept falling.
Yeah, but I think that.
Okay, so I see what you mean.
Yeah,
the thing is, if Lost hadn't been trying to just jerk up the fucking ratings, they might have been able to put together a cohesive fucking storyline.
Yeah, and they definitely wouldn't have been able to. They wouldn't have made that movie Because that movie was another cash grab. And Heroes too. Heroes was killed by ratings.
Heroes was completely killed by the ratings.
And you gotta think about all the series that don't even get to make it because their ratings were shitty. Like Terriers or J-Pod.
J-Pod.
Or you know, TV is a whole world of shit, I think. Cable is dead. I think what we need is more on-demand companies funneling money into that stuff.
Yeah, I really do agree.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for listening to us ramble here on the Lounge Room, and we will see you probably during midnight shift next time.
Yeah, we'll hopefully be able to get that recorded and put out on time. So until then, we're looking forward to it.
All right, and I'm John Hill.
I'm Fianna Shepherd,
and we are lounging out.
John, get the fuck out of the room.
No, I'm lounging.
I can see that.
The Lounge Room was produced by Fianna Shepherd. Intro music by US Army Blues. Outro music by TRG Banks. Follow the Paradigm Network on Facebook and Twitter for updates on future shows. Thanks for listening. More to come soon.